Recruiter hot take. Your resume has one job to do, and its job is not to get you a job. If you're looking for work right now and trying to figure out this crazy job market in 2026, you're going to want to save this video. But before we get ahead of ourselves, hi there, my name is Kim. I am a big tech recruiter and career advancement expert. I help professionals like you land higher paying jobs without all the stress or confusion. In a competitive job market like the one in 2026, the one we are currently in, I am seeing resumes that are either too much, too sparse, and not enough that are just right. And since the purpose of the resume is not to get you the job, but to get you an interview so you can get yourself the job, how much information is the right amount of information to share? So today we are going to talk about how to situate your resume just right so that you can have a strategic advantage in 2026. The first trend that I'm seeing as a recruiter is resumes that are too much. They say too much context, too much. Now, before I go into detail about what is too much and all of that, I want to throw out a caveat. If you are looking for work in the federal government with the United States, those resumes tend to be lengthier, but everybody else, you're going to want to watch the rest of it. Because the job market right now is so competitive, I believe that folks whose resumes fall in the bucket of too much, those folks believe I just don't want to miss out on opportunities. So I am going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, into this resume. So there is no chance that I'm going to miss out on any sort of keywords because all of my experience and background is there on that document. When people write a resume like that, they're not actually writing a resume for human eyeballs. There's a lot of data out there about how recruiters read resumes. I can't speak to the validity of that. But what I can tell you is that the vast majority of recruiters, before they start to read the details of the bullet points of your resume document, they will scan the top part to look for any sort of indication that you are qualified for that job. Something that says, oh, yeah, this person is an accountant, as opposed to an account manager. Do you see? If your resume is 6 pages long and has buried within it your accounting experience, it's going to be extremely difficult for anyone to read a resume and quickly see that you're qualified for that job. You have to understand, most of the open positions right now receive hundreds of applicants. So when you have a resume that is too much information for someone to easily scan, you are doing yourself a disservice. You see, the things that you're adding in an attempt to hack the system, in fact, is hurting you. Because remember, the job of the resume is not to get you the job. The job of the resume is to get you the interview so that you can get yourself the job. It's just the flyer that gets your foot in the door. So when you read your resume, think to yourself, does this resume just chronologically show my work experiences? Or is it strategically positioning the wins and accomplishments that would warrant bringing me in for an interview where I can then elaborate on those instances more in person? The other camp for resumes are when they're too sparse. I receive quite a few resumes where it strictly is job title, dates, and maybe a couple of daily tasks. I see that a lot currently as a tech recruiter, but I saw it when I worked in healthcare too. Listing only tasks While it's a great start, doing that creates such a disservice. Like I said, each job posting gets so many applicants. When someone reads your resume, even if it's clear, well, sure, you've been an account manager for 8 years. It's clear that you do that work, but are you indicating that you can do that work well? Are you giving an indication that the work that you did in the previous working environment will translate well into this potential new working environment? Now, let me explain. When a resume reader gets eyes on that resume, they're wondering not only can they do the job, but can they do the job in a way that translates well to the work that we're doing? So they look for indications of any sort of similarity, and no one will know what those are without a little bit of context. So when you're building out your bullet points, you want to provide indication of the scope and the scale of work, especially if it's a similarity between the work that you were doing and the work that you would potentially be doing at this new employer. Because the more similarities that someone sees, that says to a hiring team, this person will adapt quickly to our environment because they've already worked in something similar. They have seen success in an environment that is similar. Folks in an employer's market like the one in 2026, the one that we are dealing with today, employers are being choosy, and they're not doing it because they just can. They're doing it because in an employer's market, when all teams are doing more with less, the person that they bring on to their team must be a strategic advantage to their team. And the way that a manager is able to identify that is by seeing that additional context on the resume. Just relying on keywords without that additional context, you are once again putting yourself at a disservice because of what your target audience is wanting from your resume. You're not giving enough context to address that. If that sounds like your resume, go through your bullet points and beef them up a little bit. Ask yourself, if someone was reading this bullet point on my resume, someone who was not there, would they really be able to picture in a little bit more detail what was going on? So, what does a resume look like when it's just right? The first thing is that it communicates to the reader that you are worthy of a conversation. Hiring teams want to invest their energy in the folks that they really feel will be strong contenders for the role. And frankly, that's not new to the 2026 job market. That's how it's always been. Top candidates based off of top resumes are the ones who are continually called in for interviews. That has not changed. Next, does your resume indicate that you have solved similar problems? We're going to bring it back to that scope, scale, industry, and then the results within that environment. A resume that is just right is going to have some relevant accomplishments that are in line with the work in this potential new employer. A resume that's just right clearly indicates what is your previous experience and the tools that you have used. And this can be skills, technology, literal tools like hammers and saws, or methodologies. Resumes that are just right will have their shining examples at the top. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I love the relevant accomplishment section. And why I love it so much is because we know that when a recruiter reads a resume, their eye naturally goes to the top, just like any piece of paper. So wherever someone's eye goes naturally is where you want to put your most shining accomplishment. It's like a billboard. If you're driving down the street, prime billboard location where people are maybe stopped at a stoplight for a while, and there you are. There's your billboard advertising your restaurant, because whenever anyone stopped at that stoplight, they look around and there you are. There's your restaurant. It's the same thing. So, whatever you want that recruiter to see first should be at the top. Your resume should also assist in removing any of the guesswork out of why you are worth coming in for a conversation. Hiring managers are doing more with less. So you want to communicate that you are going to be a help, not a hindrance or a headache. I know that that's hard to hear it that way, but it is the truth, because more and more employers are looking for folks who can hit the ground running. If your resume gives indications that you have the potential to do that, that's going to work in your favor. To recap, we went over what too much context looks like, what a too sparse resume looks like, and what a resume looks like that is just right. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you're looking for work, please give my channel a follow. I post about resumes, interviews, job search tips, my own opinion on the job market, and I would love to see you again as you continue to work towards landing that higher paying job. Oh, and forward this video to someone who's currently looking for work and you think this would help them out. Thanks, everyone, and happy job hunting. Bye-bye.